So today we start with the segmentation and paging techniques. So which are used to avoid external fragmentation, right? You're getting me. Compaction is one solution for external fragmentation, but that is possible only when right. That is possible only when your system is supporting. That is, the loading and linking is done at the uh, runtime, right? Class, we discussed about the swapping was completed. In that we have standard swapping. With that we have some limitations, right? Why? Because for the swapping you require context switching. In that you have to transfer the data. So for that it takes more time. So the CPU is spending more time on swapping instead of in the execution. So to avoid that, we use the modified version of that swapping. What is that? Is we are keeping a threshold point. If your memory is exceeding the threshold, మనం ఒక 80% పెట్టుకున్నాం అనుకోండి. If it is exceeding 80 above 80%, then what we do is there we enable the swapping. And then again when it is coming down, when it's below 80, again we disable the swapping. And here, instead of swapping the entire program, what we are doing here is we are trying to swap only a part of the program. That is the modified version. In the mobiles, it will not support swapping. We are not using swapping. Why? Because the flash memory we have is very less. It means we cannot accommodate backup store in that. So what we try to do is whenever the memory is getting full voluntarily, the applications will be terminated. So that is all about swapping. And coming to the fragmentation, fragmentation is nothing but the smallest memory space that we cannot allocate to any other programs. That means you are wasting the memory partitions, right? So we have internal fragmentation and external. Internal comes with the fixed partitions. Why? Because we divide the memory into the fixed partitions, and the program you are loading is definitely less than the partition size. So here partition size minus actual program size will give you the internal fragmentation. right? And what is external fragmentation? External fragmentation comes with the variable size. There is no internal fragmentation. Why? Because based on the program size, we are giving the space in the variable size partitions. But when again you are swapping them, once the process is completed and you are allocating that process, that space, right? Whatever the space that we are allocating to some other process, at the time definitely some memory will get wasted. That is called external fragmentation. So there are so many small empty holes, right, which are getting wasted. In the worst case, between every two processes you will be having a hole, small hole, right? So the solution for external fragmentation is compaction. So in the compaction, what we are doing is we try to move all the programs up and we are trying to create a big hole at the end so that you can accommodate a program or a process to the large hole what we are making by combining all the small holes. But problem with this is moving the programs upwards means what? You are changing the addresses, the location of the program. So that is possible only with if you are doing the address binding at the execution time, then only it is possible. You are doing the address binding at the compile time or at the linking time, it is not possible, right? And it is very costly thing. Why? Because moving the memory partitions to up, right? Then changing every addresses of the programs, program counter and address table values, everything has to be changed. So that is not a feasible solution, I can say. So you have two more solutions for the external fragmentation. They are called segmentation and paging. Segmentation and paging, right? So here segmentation and paging are the memory management techniques which are provided by the hardware, right? So which will make the user task easy, right? Or else a programmer task easy, right? So for that we have segmentation and paging. Guys, I am sharing my screen. You understood now whatever the points I discussed now. Uh, you are following me, right? Yeah. Guys, please respond. Can you able to follow me? Understood? Yeah. Is my screen visible? సరిత మ్యామ్ చెప్పండి ఈరోజు ఓకే ఓకే మ్యామ్ ఓకే ఓకే మ్యామ్ అంటే నేను వాళ్ళకి వర్క్ బుక్ టాస్క్ ఇచ్చేస్తాలేండి 1 అవర్. ఓకే మ్యామ్. So let's start with segmentation, ma'am. Right? Actually, we can see paging then segmentation, but in your syllabus, segmentation was given first. So let's see the segmentation first, then we will see the paging, right? So here I can say uh, so segmentation is nothing but your hardware is providing a memory mechanism that maps the programmer's view to the actual physical memory. That means whenever we are writing the code, right? Whenever we are writing the code and we are declaring the variables or you are calling a function like that, right? So whatever user is creating, right, whatever the user is creating the memory, right, so if that can be mapped, that can be mapped to the physical actual memory, that means in the hard disk where they are getting stored, right, so that mapping can be done by the hardware here, right. So segmentation is a mechanism, I can say, which is given by the hardware, right, which actually maps the programmer's view to the actual physical memory. That means it will give you more freedom to manage the memory. So the user need not to know actually where your programs are storing everything like that. User will create, he will call the functions or he will create in the program when he is writing the code, and that will be directly mapped to the physical address. The mapping can be done by the hardware here, right? The user need not to worry about them, and whenever the program is getting executed and when there is a call for the variables or the routines, right, so here the user need not to provide any technique here. Directly the hardware, the segments will be created at the time of the programs, right, and those segments will be mapped to the physical address. You are getting me, guys? So here paging and segmentation are the mechanisms that are provided, that are provided by the hardware. Now coming to the segmentation. So I can say segmentation is a memory management schema, right, that permits the physical address space of a process to be non-contiguous, right. So if you see the first point, it's a schema that supports the user view of memory and programmer view of memory. But also, right, it permits the physical address space of a program to be non-contiguous. And right, your program need not to be stored as a single unit in the physical memory, right. That means, right, let me open the whiteboard.
Ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am.
Ma'am, could you please let few people are waiting on screen?
No, I'm not seeing any request, ma'am. See, my screen is sharing, right? If someone is waiting, I can see here, but I'm not getting any. Yeah. Segmentation, right? So if you see the memory, let's consider it is your main memory. OS will be there and user programs will be there, and this is your hard disk. Let's consider it is your physical, right? It is your hard disk, right? And when you are loading the program, right, what here I'm trying to tell you with the segmentation is, the program need not to be contiguous. అంటే ఏంటంటే ఒక P1 అనే ప్రాసెస్ ఉందనుకోండి, that P1 process need not to be loaded in the contiguous locations. Instead, it can have a segment here somewhere, and it can have some other segment here like this. And that means Here, what I'm trying to tell you is segmentation is a memory management schema that permits the physical address space of a process to be non-contiguous. Right? It means a logical address space is a collection of segments. So you're getting me, guys? Here, the logical address space is a collection of segments, and each segment has a name and a length. So one CPU only, right? CPU is generating the logical address, no? Whenever the CPU is generating the address, right? Here, this address is called logical address, no? It will generate the logical address, right? And here, remember the logical address space. So here, whatever the logical address space is there, that we are dividing as the segments. Each segment has a name. Each segment has a name and length. Right? Each segment has a name and a length. Remember, guys. And the logical address specify both the segment name and the offset within the segment. So whatever the logical address that is being generated, it will be having both segment name, right, and offset. Offset and from the starting address, right, where the particular instruction being called, the offset and right? You're getting me, guys? From the starting of that segment, right? It is 0 anukunte. If your offset value is 150, so from this point, the 150th location will be called, right? Offset within the segment, you have to remember. Offset value, the range of offset should not exceed the total segment, right? So ఇక్కడ segment size ఒక 300 ఉంది అనుకుందాం, అంటే 0 to 300. So the offset value should be less than 300 only. It should not exceed the segment, right? And the programmer specifies each address by 2 quantities. So in the same way, like this, segment name and offset, right? And generally the segments are referred to be, means how you're going to refer the segments is by the segment number, right? By the segment number. And instead of having a name, if you have a number, you can easily able to identify them. So that is the reason the segments are referred to by the segment number. That means a logical address consisting of 2 tuples, right? The logical address, that is segment number, comma, offset. You understand, ma? Right? So what we are doing is here, I can tell you that here the physical address, right? The physical address space of a process to be non-contiguous. That means you need not to have the entire program at a same space in contiguous locations. And here the logical address space, whatever the logical addresses are there, those logical address space is a collection of segments, right? And each segment has a name and offset, right? You're getting me, guys? And the programmer specify each address by 2 quantities. I can say one is segment name and the offset, and the segments are referred by the segment number. So how we are going to identify them is by giving the segment number. So with this I can say whatever the logical address the CPU is generating will be consisting of 2 tuples. One is segment number and the offset value. Now coming to this, I am giving a simple example. So if you take a C program and the C compiler will create separate segments for the following. So it will create the separate segments for right. So in the logic, this is the logical address bar, right? This is the logical address space, I can say. So it consisting of this set of segments, no, right? So here, whenever this C compiler is compiling any C code, it will generate or it will create the segments for the code, means right? It will create the segment for the code, whatever the code you are writing, right? And then for global variables, it will create a separate segment, right? And for the heap and from which memory is allocated for that heap, for that it will create a separate segment. And for the stack used by the threads, for this it will create a separate segment. And for the standard C library, right, for that it can create a separate segment. You are getting me, guys? So I can say a program is a collection of segments, and a segment is a logical unit, right? A segment is a logical unit. So whenever you are executing a program, a segment can be created, right, for different logical units. So main program of a segment, procedure is a segment, function is a segment, okay, method is a segment, local variable, global variable, right? You're getting me, guys? For all this, the C compiler will generate a separate segment, right? So the same thing, it will consisting of, see, square root another function on the program, right? So that for that it will create a separate segment, and subroutines it will create a separate segment. For stack it will create a separate segment. Main program will be stored in a separate segment, and symbol table will be stored in a separate segment, right? You're getting me, guys? So with this, what I can say is, not only for the code global variables and all, for the libraries that are linked, so the subroutines, right? The libraries that are linked and during compile time might be assigned separate segments. And whenever the loader is working, the loader, right, the loader will give the numbers to all these segments. The loader will give the numbers for all the segments, right? You're getting me, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the different segments. So the loader will assign the segment numbers for all the segments. And see, if you see in the physical memory space, the segments are not contiguous. So segment 1 was stored here, and segment 2 was stored here, 3 stored here, and 4 stored here. You're getting me, guys? Right? Now, you will get a question like how these can be mapped, right? Whenever the segment 1 was called, right? How the one segment was stored here, how we will get to know, right? As I told you, the hardware will provide you the service. So for that, it will be maintaining a segment table. It will be maintaining a segment table. That segment table will map the segment, right? So whatever the logical address here, it is being generated. For this, the physical address will be mapped, right? So we will see that in the next slides, right? Up to this, you understood, ma, how segmentation works, guys? Understood? Yes. Okay. So how the program will be divided into segments, right? And how they can be mapped, right? Segments can normally, it will have a segment name and offset. Logical address is nothing but a segment number and offset. Why? Because here we are assigning the numbers instead of the segment name for the easy accessing, right? Now, coming to this segmentation hardware, that means how the segmentation can be implemented, right? Now, so here the logical address can be viewed as a two-dimensional address. It will have two dimensions. One is segment number and the offset. And when it is coming to the actual physical address, it is one-dimensional address. It will give you a direct address where it can give the access to that particular memory location, right? Now, here the memory management unit, the MMU, the memory management unit. Let me see whether I can find the diagram here. So that you can easily understand what the points I am just telling you. Yeah, segmentation hardware, right? Yes, right. Sima, as I told you, the logical address is a two-dimensional address. It will have the segment number and the offset. So whatever S is the segment number, D is the offset. Let's consider, right? And then how this can be mapped to a single address. How this can be mapped to a single address is, right? Single address is, it can be, means who are going to do is MMU, the memory management unit maps the two-dimensional user-defined address to one-dimensional physical address. So this mapping is affected by a segment table, right? So each entry in the segment table has a segment base and segment limit. It has a base, segment base and segment limit, right? You are getting me, guys? Right? Segment base and segment limit. So base is nothing but the base register. That means where actually that particular segment is starting in the physical memory. And the limit is nothing but the size, how much size that segment occupied. Right? It occupied in the memory, right? So let me draw the diagram so that you can understand better, right? Seema? The CPU will generate some address, no? So this address is consisting of two dimensions. One is segment number and the offset, right? And how this can be mapped, this can be done by a memory management unit, MMU, right? So how this can be done is, it is affected by the segment table, right? So you have a segment table here. This segment table will have two entries, right? One is base, it will have the base address and it will have the limit, right? So what do you mean by base? Base means where the particular segment is starting in the physical memory, that will be holded in the base register. It is starting at some 1000 points, 1000 bytes anukundam. So it is 1000 bytes. The easy understanding values in your textbook, they will be giving you some values, so better you write those values in your exams. So starting, and this limit will tell you how much space the segment is occupying in the memory, how much space it is occupying in the memory. So let's consider 400. So limit is 400, and it is starting at 1000 bytes and ending at 1400 bytes. Right? That is all about the segment base and segment limit. Now, the segment base contains the starting physical address where the segment resides, the same thing, and the segment limit specifies the length of the segment. This is clear, no? Base and segment. Now, what I told you, the logical address consisting of two parts. One is segmentation number and the other offset. Right? The other one is the offset, right? So the offset will tell you in the segment, let's consider the segment, ikkada logical ga segment 1 anukundam, right? So in segment 1, offset ante entante from this point of that segment, I want to get access to the memory location 248. Adi offset lo untadi. అంటే ఏంటంటే CPU is generating an address, right, where it is residing in the segment 1, and in that at the 248 bytes, that is the offset. You are getting me, guys? Now the segment number is used as index to the segment table. అంటే ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ segment table ఉంది కదమ్మా, ఇందులో it will have the segment table 1, segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, like that. For each and every segment, the base will be stored and the limit will be stored. So this segment 1, the 1400, right? Segment 2 అనేది somewhere it is storing అనుకున్నాం, ఇక్కడ some 4400 అనుకున్నాం. So segment 2 base is 4400 and its limit consider it as 900. Like this, it will have the entries. You're getting me, guys? So whatever the segment number it is generating, I can say that is used as an index to the segment table. That is used as the index to the segment table. Now, when an offset is legal, Offset D, I told you, no? So what is D? D is the, what is this D? D is it is mentioning you the exact location, the exact address where the CPU wants to fetch the instructions from. Right? And whenever the D value is there, it was given by the CPU, it will be checked whether it is a valid or legal offset or not. So how that can be done? How that can be checked is, this D should be 0 to segment limit. 0 to segment limit. Right? So here for the first segment, the limit is 400. So that means within this 400 bytes only, the CPU will be allowed to access the instructions because it is calling the segment 1. So if it is more than this, that means it is trying to get the access to some other segment location. So it will be treated as illegal. It will be treated as illegal. You are getting me, guys? So how that can be checked is, so whenever the CPU is generating D value, right? D value, it will be checked whether it is less than the offset value or not. It is less than the offset value or not. So, right? You are getting me, guys? Whatever it is there, that is less than the limit. Limit undali 400 kanta takku unda. Yes, 248 it generated. If it is less than 400 only, so it will be allowed. Then what can be done after checking? If no, it is a fatal error. If it is S, then what happens is the base address will be added to the offset. That means here base address is 1000 plus offset is 248. So in the physical memory, to the 1248 bytes location, the CPU will be given access to fetch the instruction. So this is how it maps the user generated address to the physical address. So here it is generating two addresses, two-dimensional address here, but it will be mapped to a one-dimensional physical address. You understand, guys? Whatever I have written here, the same thing is there in this diagram. See, the CPU is generating some logical address with the two dimensions, right? Segment number and the offset. So the segment number, based on the segment number, right? It will be mapped to the physical address. So segment table will have the segment numbers, right, base and limit register value. So because we are calling the segment 1, for the segment 1, what is the limit, what is the base, it will fetch. So and it will check the condition whether the offset is less than the limit or not. If yes, it will be allowed. Otherwise, it is some trap addressing error. So if it is less than the limit, then the base value is added to the offset to get the actual physical memory location. Understood, guys? This is how segmentation works. Guys, tell me, understood the segmentation hardware? Yes. Okay. Okay. Why only today, but Suryateja and Anil Kumar only responding? What happened to the others? Understood, guys? Okay, okay. Now, here he has taken an example and we try to explain you how the segmentation works. This is the example, right? So the subroutines are segment 0 and square root is segment 1, main program is segment 2, symbol table is segment 4 and the stack is segment 3. Right? This way these were created, the segments are created. And coming to the segment table, here the 0th segment is starting at the 1400 address, base address, and its limit is 1000. So segment 0 is stored here starting from 1400 bytes and it is exceeding till 2400 because the limit, the length of the segment is 1000 bytes. Now coming to the segment 1, it is starting at 6300. So at 6300 it is starting and the length is 400. So the segment 1 is stored here, and the segment 2 here, like this. The segments are stored in non-contiguous locations. Sorry. You understood this example also? In the exam, if they ask you, you can write this example also. You can write this example also. Got it, guys? Yeah. Example was given, and here they were given like some points are given. This I already discussed, but once again you see logical address consisting of two tuples, segment number and offset, and segment table, it maps the two-dimensional physical address, right? Two-dimensional logical address to one-dimensional physical address, right? Each entry will have base and limit, right? So base will contain the starting physical address, limit will specify the length of the segment, right? Segment table base register, it points the segment table's location in the memory, and the segment table length register, right? It indicates the number of segments used by the program. So these are the terms you should remember, right? Segment table base register, STBR, you have a register. It points the segment table location. Man segment table undi kada, where we are actually storing the segment table, right? That will be stored in the segment table base register, and segment table length register is also will be maintained by the segmentation hardware, which indicates the number of segments used by a user program. Okay, program lo any segments vaadtunnav anedi that will be stored in the segment table length register. And remember, the segment number S is legal if S is less than the SDLR. It will be checked whenever the user CPU is generating a segment number. We have to check whether it is a valid number or not. Our program మనకి 5 segments ఉన్నాయి, but the user is generating a logical address with the segment number 6, then it will be treated as illegal. How that can be done is by checking this condition: if S is less than the SDLR. You're getting me, guys? This is about the segmentation architecture. Now, how it is going to protect is with each entry in the segment table as bit, associate a validation bit. If the bit is 0, it is illegal segment, right? And you can also give the privileges for the data, right? You can give read access, right? Read access to the segment, or you can give write access to the segment, or you can give execute privileges, right? So, and here the protection bits associated with the segments, that is code sharing occurs at the segment level, right? That means here one code was loaded, and if you want to give the sharing to the other processes also, that segment, but okay, segment C, here the segment 3 was created by the program 1 antunna, but if you want to give the sharing to that can be provided, right? I am not going in depth, but what are the points are there, I am just trying to tell you, right? The code sharing occurs at the segmentation level. So segments vary in length. The memory allocation is the dynamic storage allocation problem. Ikkada kuda ante kadamma manaki. You're getting me, guys? So this was the example. I just explained you segmentation example, right? So this is all about the segmentation. This is all about the segmentation. Now we can move to the other topic, that is paging. We can move to the other topic on paging. So guys, still you have any doubts in the segmentation? Because segment size, variable size కాబట్టి definitely a dynamic allocation problem will be there with the segmentation. Guys, can I proceed with the paging? Segmentation is clear for you all, right? Yes. Now let's start with paging. Yes. One second. Vidya చెప్పు. బాగున్నా. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Right. Coming to this paging. So paging also permits the physical address space of a process to be non-contiguous, just like segmentation, right? And here the paging avoids the external fragmentation and the need for the compaction also. How we are going to avoid that dynamic allocation problem, that is the external fragmentation and the compaction problem, by making use of the paging, we will see now, right? And here paging is implemented through the cooperation between the operating system and the computer hardware. Right? Here how the paging can be implemented is the hardware is providing you the support and also the operating system will be cooperating, right? Now coming to this, here the see in the first point, the logical address space of a process can be non-contiguous. I already told you. And the process is allocated physical memory whenever the latter is available. Right? The process is allocated physical memory whenever the latter is available. And if there is an available slot for the process will be allocated. Now, how you are going to implement this paging technique is the physical memory is divided into fixed size blocks called frames. Understand, guys? You are dividing your physical memory into fixed size partitions. You are let me do this. It is your physical. Sorry, this is your physical memory. So OS will be there. If you write, if you don't write, but remember in the physical memory, OS will be there. And your user space is divided into fixed size partitions. Right? It will be divided into fixed size partitions, or you can call them as fixed size blocks. And these blocks are called frames. These blocks are called frames. And the logical memory, whatever is there, that logical memory is divided into blocks of the same size called pages. And whatever the user program is there, right? That user program, whenever you are loading them and you are giving them to the CPU, so whenever you are executing a program, that program will be stored in the logical space, logical memory, where it is divided. This here the logical memory. Actually, the logical memory undadamma, but we are imagining, right? The logical memory is divided into blocks. You call them as pages. Right? The physical memory is divided into fixed size blocks, call them as frames, and here these are pages. So here the mapping is done from the pages to the frames. How you are going to do it is from the pages to the frames. So when a process is to be executed, its pages are loaded into any available memory frames from their source, such as a file system or backing store. Whenever you are executing the program, right? You are getting me, guys? Whenever you are executing and you are giving that program to the CPU, right? Its pages are loaded into any available memory frames from their source, such as a file system or backing store. This will be loaded, right? And remember, the backing store is divided into fixed size blocks that are the same size of the memory frames or the clusters of multiple frames. ఇక్కడ మనకి backing store ఉంది కదమ్మా. This backing store also divided into fixed size blocks. Backing store ఏదైతే ఉందో that also we are dividing them into fixed size blocks where, right, these are the same size of your memory frames. Now, we'll be maintaining a table. Right? You can call it as frame table. ఇక్కడ ఒక frame table ఉంటుందండి. This frame table maintains the list of the frames and the allocation details of the frames. Right? It will have the details. Now, if you take the data, a frame can be free. ఇక్కడ frames అనేవి ఫ్రీగా ఉండొచ్చు, or else they can be allocated to some page. So if your program is divided into number of pages, so your page 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 అనుకుందాం, right? So here the frames are like this, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this we have the frames. So what this frame table will have the information is whether the frame 0 is available or not, if it is free or not, or else allocated to any page. So manam page 1 is allocated to frame 0, let's consider. So page 1 is allocated to, what is the disturbance? Guys, 7R, mute yourself. You have any doubts? Guys, are you following me or you got any disturbance? Can I carry on? Can I continue with teaching? Yeah. Don't create the noise, ma. I don't know. You won't do. You are good people, but I don't know what happened. Right. So here the frames can be empty or can be assigned to any page, right? Chudamma, you have a program. C program code edo undanukunna, right? So there are some other routines in the program, no? So all will be stored in terms of the pages, ma. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, like that. Just like segments lagane, right? So ikkada entante manam program pages ga divide chestam and your physical memory is divided into frames, and your program can be loaded, right, into the physical memory in non-contiguous locations. But ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ మనం ఏం చేస్తున్నాము, you are ఇక్కడ పేజ్ సైజ్ ఫ్రేమ్ సైజ్ సేమ్ కాబట్టి you are avoiding the external fragmentation. So if you want to load a page, you can load directly that page into the frame. You are not wasting any time. Sorry, you are not wasting any memory. So ఇక్కడ page 1 ఉంది, right? Page 1 is loaded in frame 0. So this data will be maintained in the frame table. So frame 0 is allocated to page 1 and frame 1 free undi. It is empty, not assigned anything, it is free. And frame 2 lo, right? In frame 2 you are storing the page 0. So page 0 is stored in the frame 2, right? And page 2 is stored in frame 4 anukundam. Malli 3 empty undi anukundam, right? It is empty. And in fourth frame, right, in fourth frame the page 2, your page 2 was stored. So this is how it will have the information in the frame table, right? The frame table maintains the list of frames. And ikkada chudandi, backing store also you are saving the space. The backing store is divided into slots or the blocks where its size is equal to the page size, right? So here the frame table maintains the list of frames and the allocation details of the frames, right? That is, a frame is free or it is allocated to some page. Now each process has its own page table. Mali, each process have its own page table. Each process have its own page table, and when a page is loaded into the main memory, right, the corresponding page table is active in the system and all other page tables are inactive. So మనం ఎప్పుడైతే CPU లో ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ లోడ్ చేస్తున్నాం అనుకోండి, ఓన్లీ దట్ పర్టికులర్ P1 ప్రాసెస్ రన్ అవుతుంది అనుకుందాం. ఓన్లీ దట్ ప్రాసెస్ టేబుల్ విల్ బి యాక్టివ్ and all the remaining processes page tables will be inactive. When this P1 is completed, again this will become inactive, and you are giving some other process to the CPU, then immediately that process page table will be active. Now page tables and frame tables are kept in the main memory. Page tables and frame tables are kept in the main memory, and here a page table base register will be there that points to the page table. A page table base register is maintained which points to the page table. Now let's see how the mapping can be done. Right guys, you understood now up to this point? You understood this? Whatever explained till now about the paging, you guys able to understand? Yes. Now let's see how the mapping can be done. I think I can get the information in the PPT here. Yes. See this example. Not the example, a simple thing I'm just showing you now. Right? Every address generated by the CPU is divided into two parts. Here also, the page number offset. P is the page number and D is the offset. You're getting me, guys? Now, the page number is used as the index into the page table. Page number is used as the index. Segment number use chesamo. Here also we use the page number for indexing the page table. Me page ekkada load ayindi. If it is calling page number 2, so it will go to the page number 2. And right, the page table contains the base address of each page in the physical memory. The page table consisting of the base address. It consisting of the base address of each page in the physical memory. So ikkada mana physical memory lo, right, where it is starting, where your page is starting in the, and this page is stored in which frame, actually which frame, right? So ikkada manaki I can say the base address is nothing but the frame number anukochu. Your page is stored in which frame? Right? Now this base address is combined with the page offset, to define the physical memory address that is sent to the memory unit. So ikkada mana offset pettam kada. Offset ante enti? Let's consider your frame, right? Ikkada frame ekkada nunchi start avutundi anedi oka example తీసుకుంటే, see, where is my pen? Guys, if you see, ఇక్కడ page table లో ఏముంటుందమ్మా, whenever the CPU is generating, it will generate two addresses. One is page number and the offset. So this page table will, this page number is mapped to the page table. Page table lo emuntundante, it will have the page numbers like this, and it will have the base address, right, or the frame address, right? It will give the frame. Now what happens is, whatever the frame number you got and the offset. So let's consider it is calling the page 2. It is calling the page 2 with the offset 346 anukundam. With the offset 346. Now go to the page table, and page 2. Page 2 is mapped to which frame? Right? If you see here, your page 2 is right frame 4. So for it will go to frame 4. Now what is the base address of this frame 4? Let's consider it is something like that, 14,000. This is the 14,000. Now what happens is, from the 14,000 plus 346, these two addresses will be added, and this exact location, that is 14,346, this memory location will be given access to the CPU. You got me, guys? Right? So ఇక్కడ మనకి బైనరీలో రిప్రజెంట్ చేశారమ్మా అడ్రసెస్. This frame is starting from 00000 to 11111 అనుకుంటే, right? So these two addresses will be added. The physical address, that is the frame and plus offset, by together you will be getting the exact location where the CPU is generating the address. Guys, you understood? Right? So try to see these points. You will have page number and page offset, right? Now the example was given here like this. See, this is the logical memory. So page 0, page 1, page 2, page 3. Now page table entante, page 0 is at frame 1, page 1 at frame 4, page 2 at frame 3, and page 3 at frame 7. So this way they will be mapped. Now coming to this, yes. So manam ikkada entante, the logical memory, you will be giving the numbers like this, right? ABCD 0, 1, 2, 3, some variables. You got 32 byte memory, or else 4 byte page size based on the page size, right? So page size ikkada 4 bytes undanukunna. Frame size kuda 4 bytes kada. This 0 byte, 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte. So those bytes will be assigned here. So from this point, right? From this point, the 4 contiguous bytes. Ikkada frame size, page size same kadamma, right? Here he was given the example with the 4 bytes page size, right? And here it will have the list, right? What are the frames that are available? The free frames list will be available, right? And this is the new, whenever the new process is given, right? That new process page table will be generated. So initially anni available unnai, but whenever you are loading, right, these are mapped in such way. So mapping can be done by the software. User came, sorry, it can be done by the hardware. So ఏమేమి available frames ఉన్నాయో ఆ available frames కి it will allocate the pages. That's all. You're getting me, guys? Right? The page size is defined by the hardware. Page size kuda, whatever the size is defined by the hardware only. So always remember, the size of the page is a power of 2. Page size allowed, it can be 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, like that it has to be, right? Depending on the computer architecture, the page size varies between 512 bytes to 1 GB per page, right? You can have the page size starting from 512 bytes to 1 GB also, based on the computer architecture. Now, the selection of a power of 2 as a page size makes the translation of the logical address into a physical number and the page offset easy. Why we should have this as the power of 2 is the translation of the physical address to the logical address, right? It can be easy, right? So this example also you understood, no? And one more point I want to tell you guys here. Yes, this is this m minus 1 and n. You should remember these two. What they are is, if the size of the logical address space is 2 power m, a logical address space 2 power m undanukondi, then and a page size is 2 power n bytes, then the high order m minus n bytes, right? The m minus n of the logical address designates n lower order bits designates the offset. Right? Remember guys, ఇక్కడ మన total మన logical address is 2 power m ఉండి the page size is 2 power n ఉందనుకోండి. So if you represent that address in the binary format, so the lower m minus n bits will indicate the page number and the higher n bits will indicate the page offset. So these 2 points you should remember guys. You are getting me ma? సో ఇక్కడ మనం లాజికల్ అడ్రస్ ఏదైతే జనరేట్ చేస్తున్నామో సో వాట్ ఎవర్ ఇది లాజికల్ అడ్రస్ స్పేస్ సో మొత్తం టోటల్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ అడ్రసెస్ రైట్ టోటల్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ అడ్రసెస్ మనం 2 పవర్ m అనుకుంటే టోటల్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ అడ్రసెస్ ఇస్ 2 పవర్ m బైట్స్ అనుకుంటే రైట్ అండ్ హియర్ ద పేజ్ సైజ్ ఇస్ 2 పవర్ n అనుకుంటే the page size is 2 power n అనుకుంటే right and here the m minus n bits the lower m minus n bits will indicate the page number and the higher n bits right the higher n bits designates the page offset right so ఈ అడ్రస్ మనకి 0 1 1 0 1 0 1 ఇలా మనం బైనరీలో రిప్రజెంట్ చేస్తే m మైనస్ n ఇది అనుకోండి రైట్ ఇది ఎలా రాస్తాం 1 2 4 8 so 6 is the page number and the remaining will give you the offset like that so that is the one point I just want to discuss here. Now this is about how the translation can be done, the mapping can be done, and this is one example how the logical memory is divided into pages and how the physical memory is divided into frames, right? And how the page table represents, right? How this will map the pages, how the pages are mapped to the frames, right? And this is example in terms of the bytes ma right ikkada page size manam 4 bytes anukundam so ikkada 0 1 2 3 ante numbers bytes numbers so 0 byte 1 byte 2 byte up to ikkada manaki 4 pages unnai kabatti 16 bytes total program size is 16 bytes anukunte so these 4 bytes are the 16 bytes ikkada contiguous levu these are scattered right the first 4 bytes are somewhere starting from the 20th byte and the next 4 are somewhere starting from 24 bytes and the 8 9 10 11 are somewhere where they are starting from 4th byte and 12 13 14 15 are somewhere starting from the 8th byte. These are not contiguous here, they can be stored somewhere but mapping is done right that is called paging right and how the pages are allocated right it was explained here right. So with this I can say the paging schema avoids the external fragmentation. You are understanding me right but it is suffering with internal fragmentation. It is suffering with internal fragmentation. Enduku let's consider your program మొత్తం మీ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉందమ్మా రైట్ దేర్ it won't require all 4 pages ఇక్కడ చూడండి మా టోటల్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ సైజు 16 bytes ఉంటాయి and here each page size is 4 bytes then total 4 pages will be filled but let's consider your program size is only 13 bytes. Your program size is only 13 bytes even though you are allocating 4 pages for that. Fourth page edaithe undo that is not completely filled. Some space is getting wasted in the 4th page right. It creates the internal fragmentation. You are understanding ma right. The paging is suffering with internal fragmentation. It is not having the external fragmentation problem but it creates the internal fragmentation because of the fixed size pages. Guys understood? సో ఇక్కడ ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకున్నాడమ్మా, యువర్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ రిక్వైర్స్ 10 pages plus 1 byte, but even though you are allocating 11 pages for that, అంటే ఏంటంటే 11 frames are allocated with 11 pages, so there you are wasting some space, so that is called internal fragmentation, right? Now guys, let me take a 5 minutes break, then I will continue with the next topic. Is it okay, ma? Can you take 5 minutes break and come back? 12:15 ki, right? Now, implementation of the page table. So this we will see now, and then there are some topics we will be discussing further. Further, let me have some water and come, right? Paging example also, and the limitation with the paging, that is internal fragmentation, right? So this was explained with an example, ma. So you want me to give that example? That is same thing. It requires 10 pages plus 1 byte, but for that 11 pages will be used. So for that we allocate 11 frames. So there we will have the internal fragmentation, right? So if the page size is small, then the number of entries in the page table is more. This will lead to the huge number of context switches. This is also one of the limitation, right? So page size manaki 2 bytes antunnanu, like 4 bytes antunnanu. Normally your program size is it will be big only, right? So if the program size is big, it requires more pages. If you require more pages, more context switches are required. Avuna kada, right? Then it will waste the time of the context switching. That is also one of. If the page size is large, then the number of entries in the page table is less, and the number of context switches is less normally, right? Now, implementation of the page table, right? Coming to this, normally your page table is kept in the main memory only, and you have the register, page table base register, which points to the page table. So actually where your page table is stored in the main memory, it will show you. And you have the page table length register, which indicates the size of the page table, right? What is the actual size of the page table? It will be indicated in the page table length register, right? You're getting me, guys? And here definitely the page, whatever the logical address will be generated, it's a 2-dimensional, right? It will have like it will have the page number and the offset value. And in the schema, every data instruction access requires 2 memory accesses, one for the page table and other for the data instruction. So whenever the CPU is calling for the instructions, it will first go to the page table, and there the mapping is done, and from there it will go to the direct instruction. So that is the reason here he is telling you that in the schema, every data or instruction access requires 2 memory accesses. Why? Because the page table is kept in the main memory only, no? Right? First it will get access to the page table, then from there it will get the address and mapping is done, and from there it will get the instruction, right? And to solve this problem, because you are referring to the memory 2 times, no? To avoid this problem, right, the 2 memory access problem can be solved by the use of a special fast lookup hardware cache. You can call it as associate memory or translation look aside buffers, right? You're getting me, guys? You can call it as associate memory or translation look aside buffer. So with this simple hardware, right, hardware cache memory, right? So with this, from this you will be getting, means instead of referring to the memory 2 times, right? With this cache, right, you can able to get the data, right, at the same space, right? You need not to go there. First, you will get the page table. Then definitely with this translation look aside buffers, right? You will be trying to get access to the memory, right? So this implementation will be shown in the next slides. And some translation look aside buffers store address space identifiers in each TLB entry, uniquely identifies each process to provide the address space protection for that process. So it also provides you the protection for your process, right? So how it is going to do is in each entry of the translation look aside buffer, right? It uniquely identifies the process to provide address space protection, right? So if you see this here, this associate memory, it like this, right? So what it will do is it will search for the page table and immediately it will search for the frame number where that page is stored, right? So with this you can directly go to the memory location with the help of this frame number. You are getting me, guys, right? This associate memory, it will give you the parallel search. So there you can search for the page table, page number you will get, and here only the associated frame number you will get. So with this, you can directly get access to the main memory instructions, right? So this address translation will have to enter this mark P comma D. If P is in associate register, so that page is available, right? Then get the frame number, right? Get the frame number, and you are getting me, guys, right? If P is in this associative memory in this register, right? Then you can get the frame, right? You can get the frame number, right? And with that you can go to the memory, right? Otherwise get the frame number from the page table in the memory. So ikkada translation memory lo ledu ante malli same old fashioned. Again you go to the page table, right? From there you get the frame number, then you go to the memory, right? You are getting me, guys? But for every entry definitely you will be maintaining it in the associative memory. But as I told you, associative memory is a kind of cache memory. And if a page first loaded, that information will be loaded in this cache. Right? Most frequently called all the pages will be stored. But if this is not there, it will search for the page number. If it is not there in this table, that page is not there, then again it will go to the page table to get the information. See how this works. The paging hardware with the translation look ahead buffer. So this is TLB right? So first CPU will check for the page number, right? It will check for the page number. If the page number is there in TLB, it will get the associated frame number, right? That is TLB hit and available undi ani. Miss ante that is not available ani, right? If it is TLB hit, right? Then it will get the frame number directly and added with the offset and go to the memory. So here you need not to get the access to the memory 2 times. But if it is a TLB miss, if the page number is not available in the TLB, then it will go to the page table. So this page table is on the memory. So here it requires 2 times access to the memory. It will go to the page table. Then from there it will get the frame number and it will be added with the offset to get the physical address. You are getting me, guys? Right? What is translation look ahead buffer? Yes or no? Why we are using this TLB? To save the memory access time. Why? Because to fetch any instruction, you require the memory access 2 times. Why? Because one for the page table and one for the actual memory, right? So because the page table is getting stored in the main memory, it requires 2 cycles, one for the page table and one for the actual memory instruction fetching. To solve this, what we are doing is we are making use of a cache, associate memory. You can call it as associate cache or whatever. So that is called translation look aside buffer. We'll be using a buffer. So there it will have the page numbers and its associated frame numbers. So whenever the CPU is generating an address, first it will be checked in the TLB whether that page is available or not. If available, get the frame number and directly go to the main memory to fetch the instructions. If not there, you have to go to the page table, and from there you have to get the page number according frame number. Then for the frame number, add the offset and go to the main memory. You understood up to this point, guys? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, done. Guys, whatever I told you till now, you have to write it in terms of the points mark, right? Translation look-aside buffer is a solution for the slow access of user memory allocation. Yes or no, right? మీరు 2 times memory చేయాలి అంటే ఏంటంటే ఇక్కడ memory access is slowed by a factor of 2 times చేస్తున్నాను కాబట్టి, right? So further the solution is translation look aside buffer, right? So what is this is, it's a fast lookup hardware cache, right? So I can say it is associative memory and it is very fast memory, right? So each entry in the TLB consists of 2 parts. I am reading the points now for your better understanding. What are the points you are supposed to write? I am just reading the points. Please try to get those points. So each entry in TLB consisting of 2 parts. Now one is a key, and one is a value, right? So the size of the TLB is in between 32 to 1024 entries. Remember, guys, these are some points, the theory points. Concept I explained, but there are some theory points which are to be learned, right? So TLB size is in between 32 to 1024 entries. And when the associate memory is presented within an item, the item is compared with all the keys simultaneously. If the item is found, then corresponding value field is returned. So how this will work is, P అనేది ఒక number. We'll be searching for that number, right? Will be, so ఇది key అనుకుందాం. It's a key or a tag. So based on the page number, the page number will be searched. If it found, right, the corresponding value will be returned. So the page number found as anukondi, what it will return? It will return the corresponding frame number. All right. Now you can also maintain the multi-level TLB mark, right? You can also have the multiple level of TLB if the system is having the multiple levels of caches. మనకి ఇక్కడ ఒక్కటే TLB చూపిస్తున్నాను, but multi-level TLB also possible, right? I'll try to show you in the next class. Now, the TLB contains only a few of the page table entries. Remember, the TLB will not have all the entries of the pages. It will have only the limited number of the the pages, right, from the page table, right? Now, when a logical address is generated by the CPU, when the logical address is generated by the CPU, right, its page number is presented to the TLB, and if the page table found, its frame number is immediately available and is used to access the memory, and this is called TLB hit. Now, if the page number is not in the TLB, known as TLB miss, at this time, right, a memory reference to the page table must be made. And this translation look aside buffer the steps are executed as a part of the instruction pipeline within the CPU. So whenever the CPU is generating an instruction, this TLB execution, everything will be done a part of the instruction pipeline within the CPU, right? Which does not add any performance penalty compared with a system that does not have implementing the paging. It won't put much burden to tell you or to make you understand why TLB can be implemented, how it is giving you the better performance is. It won't put much burden on the system. Instead, it will be executed as a part of the instruction execution, right? As a part of the instruction execution, right? Now, depending on the CPU, this may be done automatically in hardware or via an interrupt to the OS. When the frame number is obtained, we will use it to access the memory. మనకు మిస్ అయింది అనుకోండి, పేజ్ టేబుల్ వెళ్తున్నాం. సో హౌ దిస్ ప్రాసెస్ క్యాన్ బి డన్ ఇస్, ఇట్ క్యాన్ బి డన్ ఆటోమేటికల్లీ. అంటే ఏంటి, ఇక్కడ మిస్ అయితే ఏం చేయాలి? It has to refer to the page table. So how this process can be done is, it can be done by the hardware directly, or else you can give a request to the OS. You can generate an interrupt, right, to get the access to the page table, and from there again to map to the frame number and to refer to the actual memory location, right? And once with the TLB miss, if you are getting any data about the frame, right, then immediately this will be added to the TLB. That means if the next time again, if the CPU is asking for this page, you can directly get it from the TLB. You are understanding, ma? When you got a TLB miss, if that page is not available, what you are doing is you are going to page table and referring to this location. No? So when you are doing this entry will be added to the page table or TLB, translation look aside buffer. Right? It will be added to the TLB so that they will be found quickly on the next reference. So if the TLB is already full of entries, an existing entry must be selected for the replacement by using the page replacement algorithms. So the last topic of your this unit is page replacement algorithms, right? So whenever if the page is, means this TLB is full, you want to put a page entry in this, then you have to take out one of the page entry from this. So for that you have so many page replacement algorithms. So based on the algorithm, we will be making use of like which page has to be taken out. Which page has to be taken out can be done making use of the page reference, page replacement algorithms, right? And there are some entries which cannot be removed from the TLB. Those entries you can call them as wired down entries. That is key kernel code entries and in this page, in this table, which will not be taken out. Only page numbers only will be taken out, and there are some entries which are which cannot be removed from the TLB. You call them as wire down entries, or you can call them as key kernel code entries, right? You are getting me, guys? And the next topic is address space identifiers, ASIDs in TLB, right? What I told you, this address space identifiers are used to protect the processes, which are used to protect the processes from each other, right? So right, whatever the thing I discussed, right? This is ASIDs. So what is ASID is? It is nothing but your address space identifier. So the TLB stores address space identifier in each TLB entry. So in each TLB entry, it will be storing this ASID. So what is this ASID is? ASID which uniquely identifies each process, and it is used to provide the address space protection. And when the TLB attempts to resolve the virtual page number, It ensures that ASID for the currently running process matches the ASID associated with the virtual page. So if you are using the virtual paging, this concept, it's if I explain this topic after the virtual memory, it will be easy. So for now, don't bother about that. So just ASID, you just remind me when I am discussing about the virtual memory, virtual paging concept like that. Okay. TLB hit ratio. Chinna terms I'm telling you that what is TLB hit ratio or miss ratio is the percentage of times that the page number is found in the TLB is called hit ratio, and the percentage of time that the page number is not found in the TLB is miss ratio, right? And always remember TLB miss ratio is equal to 1 minus hit ratio, right? So effective access time, it is the sum of the time taken for a page to access for TLB hit ratio and the TLB miss ratio, right? What is this effective memory access time is? You can write down, it is the sum of the time taken for a page to access for TLB hit ratio or TLB miss ratio. That means he's giving you an example. 80% hit ratio means we find the desired page number in TLB, right? In the TLB, 80% of the time. If it takes 100 nanoseconds to access the memory, then the mapped memory access takes 100 nanoseconds when the page number is in the TLB. What do you mean by this effective memory access time? If hit ratio 80% undanukondi, right? And to find that page in the TLB, right, you require 80% of time. Right? That means, example, to access the memory, if it takes 100 nanoseconds, then the mapped memory access takes 100 nanoseconds when the page number is in TLB. Actual memory access 100 nanoseconds. When it is equal to 100 nanoseconds when the page number is in the TLB. Right? And if you fail to find the page number in TLB, then we must first access the memory for the page table and the frame number for 100 nanoseconds. Then the access desired byte in the memory for 100 nanoseconds. So total 200 nanoseconds. Then what is the effective memory time is? What is the effective memory time? An example, you can draw this easy. See, what is the effective memory access time? See, it is the total of both hit ratio and miss ratio. So TLB hit ratio 80% anukundam. It takes 80% of time to get the access to that thing when it is there in the TLB. And total actually to get the access to this memory location, if it is taking 100 nanoseconds, it takes the same 100 nanoseconds if that page is there in the TLB. But if it is not there in the TLB, it takes 100 nanoseconds for page table plus 100 nanoseconds for fetching the instruction. So total 200 nanoseconds. This is for TLB miss. This is for hit. Now, what is the access time is? Effective memory access time is, it is 0.80 into 100 nanoseconds plus 0.20. There are 20% chances that there is a miss into 200. Miss again the time 200 nanoseconds. Hit 100 nanoseconds, right? Then the total is 120 nanoseconds. So this is the effective memory access time, right? You're getting me, guys, where 80% is the hit ratio and 20% is the miss ratio. And it is taking 100 nanoseconds for fetching the instructions. Then total memory, effective memory access time is 120 nanoseconds, right? So for this, he has given a formula here, right? Effective access time, hit ratio alpha antunnadu, right? And memory cycle is 1 microsecond, and in 100 nanoseconds antunnadu, and lookup takes epsilon time unit, right? So ఇది కన్ఫ్యూజింగ్ గా ఉంది అంటే you just try to take my example, right? నేను ఇప్పుడు ఏదైతే వైట్ బోర్డ్ మీద ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేశానో యూ టేక్ ద సేమ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అండ్ ట్రై టు understand. Then you have memory protection. Guys, I think that's enough for today, right?